What is going on, everyone? Welcome to Promethean Tides. I'm General, and as always, I'm joined by Breaker. What is going on, Breaker?
It's all their fault. Jamie Dimon wouldn't meet with me after I called him up for a meeting. I asked him if he would meet with me to discuss my bank account, and that motherfucker said no. It's a conspiracy against me.
Uh, so, what is hot in the news right now? It's a bit of drama. I'm not really a huge fan of drama. You'll notice that on this channel we don't usually talk about celebrity gossip that much. Mostly because I personally find it to be not that interesting. But we have a weird confluence of things here. So basically, Ye, formerly known as Kanye, he appeared on the Timcast IRL along with Milo Yiannopoulos and Nick Fuentes. Now, I was extremely excited to watch this, and I watched it live the night of, and I was like, oh boy, this is going to be spicy. And then the amount of blue balling that I got, I mean, it's basically like purple balling at that point, because Kanye Dipset, he left, and for reasons that I can't quite tell. We'll go through maybe some ideas about what happened, why this happened, but I thought that maybe we just we'd go through the 20 minutes that Kanye was actually on, and maybe do a little bit of a commentary on that. So I guess here we go.
Ones, or at least
Let's
relaxed and
open
enjoyed yourself.
thingamabob.
Over the past week, there was a
Oh wait, sorry. One sec.
Stream.
Oh, okay. All right, here
I'm
we
not
go.
as advanced and
a
sophisticated as the
particularly
Tim Pool
big
show.
news
so-
story that's resulted in a continued news cycle, which is now going on for over a week, which is in many ways unheard of. But right now, because Donald Trump went to dinner with Ye and Nick Fuentes, among others, he is now being denounced by Mike Pence, several Republican senators, and for whatever reason, this story, for many reasons I suppose people have made, this story has persisted till today. And
Okay, so I want to point out, I don't really care who if Donald Trump has dinner with. Like some people were like, "Oh my God, he can't be president now. He had dinner with Nick Fuentes and Kanye." Yay! I mean, whatever. I don't give a shit. I think that's silly. It doesn't matter. Just like everything else that everyone has ever said about Trump. Oh no, this is the end of Trump. Oh, he can't. No, he's gonna have to leave politics forever now. Every single time that anything mildly controversial happens with Trump, they go, "Oh, this is the end of Trump." It never has been. Not once has it ever been the end of Trump, and I doubt that this will be the thing. But just a little bit of this is my opinion there.
And we are able to actually
than
sit
likely,
down
yeah.
with several of the individuals involved in that story, notably Ye, Nick Fuentes, and Milo Yiannopoulos, of course, who made the dinner happen. It's my understanding, or at least got the.
I had the dinner invite before I met Milo.
Okay, my bad. There you go. So we're gonna jump right into
I
this
just
news story.
overcomplicated it.
Absolutely. So we're gonna start with that. And there's a lot we want to talk about, and you know what, man, this is a very big story. A lot of people have questions about, what were Trump's intentions, why were certain people invited, and Trump, of course, has issued statements. So a lot of people want to know where he stands, and more importantly, what happened there and why. And there's also the questions about what Ye 24 means, and I'll keep.
I think it would be interesting for Ye 24 for Kanye West to run for president. What do you think, Breaker?
Well, if nothing else, it would be funny. And me in politics, it's all just like grand comedy for me at this point because I've given up all the fucking fucks about this. But yeah, like the funniest part of this in my mind is like seeing all the fucking progressives head melt. It's like, how were we going to be maximally insensitive and denigratory and petty and insulting to a black man? Dun dun dun.
Yeah, I think it would be it would be interesting to see Kanye West run for president. I mean, it would definitely shake some stuff up. I would hope that he doesn't run as an independent, because that's how you guarantee a Democrat wins. Like, if Kanye West were to run as an independent, and then let's say Trump or DeSantis, but probably Trump, runs as a Republican, and then let's say that they try to throw Biden in there again, Kanye will capture a decent amount of conservative votes, and then it'll split the party, and then Biden will win handily. So I hope to God that Kanye doesn't run third party. If he does, if he actually decided to do that, I would say that he's a fucking plant, because that's him handing the election to the Democrats effectively. But I would.
Well, you know what? After a certain amount of shakeups with all the more interesting thing than that would, like, if Trump split the party and he went independent, that would be even more interesting, because at that point, I think if Kanye and Trump both went their own fucking parties and they trifected and triangulated this shit and atomized it all the way down, the Republican Party at some point would just have to look around and well, if this is going to be a regular thing going forward, we're all kind of fucked.
That a little bit vague, so they can answer to that and speak more to that. And then, of course, we're going to get into a lot of different issues. However, head over to timcast.com and become a member. We're going to have a members-only uncensored show.
Please.
Hi.
I think everybody himself. Would you like to
Or so they
introduce yourself,
thought.
You did it.
There you go. I think everybody knows who you are. And which of you gentlemen would like to introduce yourself?
Low
Nicholas,
energy.
please.
Hi. Yeah, I'm Nick Fuentes. First time here on the Timcast. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nick the
What do you
Knife
do?
Oh, I'm a live streamer. I do a show called America First on Cozy.tv.
All right. And, of course, Milo, you were here a couple weeks ago.
Yes, I'm your best ever guest.
So we've been told that the episode with you was one of the best podcasts ever. People really enjoyed hearing you speak.
I think that's accurate.
Okay.
Yeah. Well,
Thanks for coming back.
Thanks. I was wondering how I was going to make it even more extraordinary the second time I visited.
I want to point this out. Didn't Milo say that he was Jewish? Isn't he supposed to be Jewish?
I think,
He's.
but because he's now he's one of those weird born again quasi Westboro Baptist Christians. So I don't know how that works. This is all just a massive fucking clusterfuck of bullshit from all sides.
To be fair, he's clearly not a Westboro Baptist. He's a Catholic, but I think that he's a gay Jewish man who has decided that he would prefer to be a straight Catholic guy, which is fine. That's on him. Whatever he wants to do with his life, that's cool. But I do think that he's a confusing character. I'll say that. I kind of like him. To be honest. But yeah, he's an interesting character.
I think I might have pulled it off.
Luke's here.
Total Sausage Fest tonight. Welcome. My name is Luke Radowski of wearechange.org. Today I'm wearing my Epstein Didn't Epstein Himself t-shirt, which you could get on
Blah, blah,
We
blah.
Will Be Streaming Me. So
Serge.
And I am Serge.com.
It's from earlier today, 5 p.m. Pence says Trump should apologize. It's wrong to give anti-Semite a seat at the table. This, of course, is related to a dinner that happened, and I was wrong a little on the details. So a dinner happened. Nick, you were there. Ye, you were there. I just want to start off by, how did this dinner come to happen, and what happened?
I was talking to Trump for about a month. We had scheduled the dinner in October, and then he announced for president. He pushed the dinner back to November.
So I do want to point this out. I'm not really the biggest fan of Nick Fuentes. He's been on the internet for a quick minute. And he always kind of struck me as kind of like a blood sports kind of guy. So I guess he doesn't. I don't think he makes the best points. He's he really just tries to be more edgy than actually making some sort of intellectual contribution to the discussion. But to be fair, that's just what I've gotten. I don't watch the guy, so I could be totally wrong. Maybe he's fucking brilliant, perhaps. But
from what I remember of him from years ago, he's like the eternal freaking edgelord. Like he'll say a bunch of like spicy political takes and then make it racial. And then it's like, ooh, did you hear Nick Fuentes said a spicy racial take? Oh, he's a madman. And it's basically his entire brand is just like go under the radar for a bit, then get really spicy and edgy. Everyone talks about you. You're the seed of the fucking controversy. Then like regress away and then come. It's like this back forth yo-yo effect with him. And it has been for the past 6 years that I know of.
Well, isn't that? I mean, perhaps that's a viable strategy. But I did want to point this out. So. Actually, this is Nick Fuentes' channel on Cozy.tv. And I guess that on Cozy.tv he's probably one of the largest creators. So good for him, no doubt. So he has 22,000 subscribers on this. Now he's not on YouTube. I guess he's kicked off YouTube, which is unfortunate. I don't think that he should be kicked off YouTube. I don't think that Alex Jones should be kicked off YouTube. I think that we should have all of these voices all of the time, because I mean, why? I sometimes like to watch things that maybe I disagree with, right? Like I'm happy that communists are allowed on YouTube as much as I dislike the communists, but I do want to point this out. Okay, this guy has 22,000 subscribers, right? That's a lot more than this channel, absolutely, 100%. But in the scheme of and the scale of the internet, that's a very small channel, right? Like if we go back to just the Timcast, they have 1.4 million subscribers. So my question is, what the fuck is Nick Fuentes doing having a dinner with Donald Trump? Why is Kanye hanging out with Nick Fuentes? This guy is tiny. He's insignificant. He's not very important. I mean, even if he had the best fucking ideas in the world, he's such a small person. Like, why isn't fucking Tim Pool having dinner with Donald Trump? Why isn't fucking PewDiePie? Why not him? Like, why Nick Fuentes of all people? It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But things.
I think Kanye is probably the root cause of this, because Kanye, when he started getting political, he started like getting involved with all these dissident right-wing people, and who are like the main freaking like barnacle coattail riders of the dissident right. Like, commander-in-chief of that particular archetype is definitely Nicholas Fuentes, and close behind him, like sniffing up every controversy he could find, regardless, is Milo Yiannopoulos. So they see this guy as like this big giant celebrity, like, oh boy, here's our chance, guys. So they latch onto him like barnacles onto this massive shark, this megalodon that is Kanye West in the political world and the celebrity world in general. It's like, let's ride this all the way into the ground. And I don't think Nick Fuentes or Milo, at the end of the day, really give a shit about Kanye West. For them, it's just the furtherance of their own brand and ego. The very fact that Nick Fuentes was on Tim Pool and mentioned his show and plugged it alone, that could have been all he wanted to do, regardless.
I think you're right. Yeah, like he got what he wanted in the first 4 minutes. Like, hey, I'm Nick Fuentes. Check out my channel. But okay, let's keep going.
And I've been pulling together a campaign, and after I put up the DEF CON tweet, a bunch of people that have been canceled, like Alex Jones, I started getting in contact with other people that were now on the inside of the matrix. And Alex Jones, producer, said that Milo wanted to contact me, and here we are.
So that's how you guys got in contact.
Yeah, originally, and then I suggested that we bring in Nicholas as enormous extra brain firepower that he is. Is most extraordinarily brilliant political commentator of his generation.
I press F to
Yeah.
doubt. I
Yeah.
press F to doubt.
Yeah, this is Milo's shtick. He's like, Milo is just the ultimate flatterer, blow smoke up your ass egotist, because all he cares about at the end of the day is just getting his slice. So he'll say whatever is necessary. Well, he is a massive flaming gay power bottom. Or I correct the record, was, and then he found Jesus, I guess. But anyway, insofar as that goes, this is just the kind of thing Milo always does. Remember when he did this with Sargon?
Yeah.
And that frickin' party that England had. What was the name of that party that Nigel Farage was the head of?
Oh, the Brexit party, right? They were like the, I forget if they had a different name, but they ran.
Yeah,
the
I can't
Brexit.
even remember the name. I can't even remember the name of the fucking party, but you know what I mean. Oh, UKIP. Yeah, that was it.
UKIP,
UKIP, and Milo Yiannopoulos was always back in the background, being a fucking barnacle on Sargon back then. So wherever there's like a dissident political figure with some level of clout, Milo Yiannopoulos is not far behind, unless you explicitly tell him to fuck off.
Yeah, it is odd to see, because Milo was attached to Sargon back in the day. Sargon and Nick Fuentes do not have similar political opinions whatsoever.
No shit.
And now he's hopped on to Nick Fuentes. Does Milo, like, what are Milo's principles? Does he just exist to just stir shit? I mean, I guess that's a job, right? Like, it maybe even it's a necessary job. Someone has to stir shit, but
Well, considering before 2016 and all the political debacles, he was a writer for some type of progressive blog or magazine that was very left-wing, and then all of a sudden, when the shit gets stirred up, he's like one of those old edgelords. It's like back when being a certain type of lefty, like Vice. Remember Tim Pool was on freaking Vice, and Vice used to be the epic edgy thing, and then Milo was on something similar to that. But when the epic edginess started to be like, ooh, dissident politics, especially of the right-wing variety, that's when all the edgy people started switching over. Tim Pool is a bit more principled, and he's more entrepreneurial, and he was able to build that like from the ground up and make his own brand out of it. Unlike Milo, who just like, why bother making my own brand of it when I could just be a barnacle and latch onto other people's?
it is more efficient to be a barnacle. You know?
Yeah, in the grand scheme of things.
Barnacles exist in nature for a reason. It's because it is a viable strategy. But yeah, we'll keep going.
And he's been treated just about as badly as anybody, so I thought he deserved to be in the room too. And yeah, that's pretty much how we got together.
So I have some questions about that, but we'll get through the dinner portion of, you know, how exactly this happened, what went down. So this is how you get in contact, the three of you. How is it that Nick ends up invited to this dinner, and what happened?
Well,
See, that's really the number one question. Why the fuck is Nick at this dinner? Why is he there? It makes no goddamn sense.
And now everyone is still wondering why the fuck were they there. No questions were answered, but that will become readily apparent as we move forward.
he was rolling with me. I was impressed with Nick, and I was like, just come to the dinner. And we had Karen Giorno pick us up from the airport. And there was a lot of back and forth. There's another gentleman named Jamar Montgomery that was with us. It's he's an engineer at Boeing, and what's it?
I'm telling him just we should raise everyone's volume.
Okay, cool. And we sat there, and it was like when Trump came in, I said, do you want to sit alone? He's like, no, bring your friends in. So a big thing is like Trump.
That engineer
had no
guy
idea
is fucked,
who
by the
Nick
way.
Fuentes.
The guy with the curly hair.
That guy that he mentioned, that fucking engineer, that guy's career is fucked when this comes to fucking light. It's like, so you were talking with these guys.
And the volume isn't correct, you fucker.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm sure that he'll wait, he
No,
replaced...
not the sound engineer in the studio, the engineer the Boeing guy that Kanye was alluding to.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that guy.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Let's keep going.
But this whole I just gotta go right to the heart of this anti-Semite claim that's happening. This is something.
And then
if you
immediately,
read the
immediately get
definition,
into the Jews.
Immediately, right? Like you could have like, you know, chilled out for like 15 minutes, you know, just kind of shot the shit or whatever. Nope. Jews, mention the Jews 6 minutes in. We're at the 6-minute mark, right on the Jews. Boom.
Yeah, this is when I used to be in like dissident political chat rooms, and I would go in and there'd be alt-right people around, and I just played this game. It's like, okay, I'm gonna see how long I could be in here before something involving Jews come up. Now, a lot of the times it was just a non-starter, it was instant failure, because I would immediately go in the room and it was just like the first thing I hear would be like Jews. So those are like non-starters. Like, okay, those are like easy mode. That's not even a starter. Okay, let me try again. And the longest I was ever able to be in one of those spaces before Jews came up in an explicit fashion was 1 hour.
Wow, that's a lifetime when it comes to those sort of groups.
And it never happened again. Everything below that, it's like between 15 minutes and 2 minutes. Like that 1 hour was like a fucking anomaly. That was like a black swan event.
Yeah,
and I guess Tim Pool's show is no different now. It's just a countdown to fucking Jews.
I guess so. So I mentioned this maybe like a couple shows back, but there appears to be a growing schism in the right. You have I guess the more libertarian right, and then you have the more authoritarian right. You know, and this was always going to be a schism, of course. But the authoritarian right, they are like almost every like right-leaning authoritarian person that I've ever met, even though it doesn't have to be this way, it appears to be this way. They are obsessed with the Jews. No matter what the problem is, hurricanes are caused by Jews. I believe that must be the case. All of the world's ills are caused by Jews, and if only they didn't exist, we would finally live in a utopia. At least that's what I've been able to gather. I think that's sort of simplistic thinking, but there it is. And within this right movement that I consider myself to be part of, you have these two factions. You have libertarians who, generally speaking, don't give a shit about the Jews, right? I will stand here right now and I will say I don't give a shit about the Jews. That's not to say that I hate them, but it's also not to say that I love them. I just don't give a shit. They're not important to me. In the same way that I don't give a shit about like most races. I mean, obviously, you know, I think that the Germans are bad, but you know that's a particular, you know, thing that I think. I probably, I mean, it's probably only like half the libertarians that hate the Germans. But I mean, why? So you have the libertarian side doesn't give a shit about the Jews, and then you have the authoritarian side that just their sole focus in life is whatever the Jews are doing. And you can have left-leaning Jews like a George Soros. Obviously, they're the cause of a lot of problems, and they're right in that. Fuck George Soros. But then you also have like right-leaning Jews. And there's like there's a Dave Rubin, who I guess he's a gay Jew, and he's right-leaning. You have Milo Yiannopoulos, who was a gay Jew. You have Ben Shapiro, who is just a Jew who has only ever had sex with one woman. And apparently these are also all the people that are the problem. I don't think that it's the most coherent worldview, but I keep hearing more and more and more of it, especially like in some of the you know, with some of the conversations that I have on Discord. I keep hearing more and more about the Jews, and like a year ago I wasn't hearing that much about them, but now I'm hearing a whole ton about the Jews, and now it's gone all the way to fucking Timcast and having dinner with the president. This is not good for the movement. I want to point that out. Nothing about this helps anyone or anything except for the Democrats. This is stupid. It's not a thing, at least I believe, that is genuinely worth pursuing. Like, hey, you know what is worth pursuing? Going after like the WEF, going after the Federal Reserve, going after all of these tech platforms that are clearly shadow banning and deranking valid points of view and making it so that the public square of free thought and speech is censored and guided in a way that most benefits the tech monopolies. That's shit that's worth going after. But when it comes to the Jews, what do we do? What do we round them all up? Like what is the idea here? This is absurd. It's a political non-starter, and I have no idea why it is that any of this is actually why is it being seriously discussed? I mean, I'm not opposed to giving it a platform. Everything should be given a platform, even fucking communists, right? That's totally chill. I don't know why it's being seriously discussed at this level. This seems like a mistake on whatever the fuck is happening. Trump made a mistake with this. I think Kanye's making a mistake. I think that Nick Fuentes is there simply to, I don't know. He seems like kind of a shill to me. I don't know. And then Milo just likes to stir shit. This is celebrity fucking bullshit drama. This is not serious politics. But
yeah, you know, the fucking Jew angle shit isn't just a problem on the right either. You remember those progressives, and this was also in BLM, if you remember, those black Hebrew Israelites talking about the fake white Jews, and the progressives that are like anti-Israel, free Palestine. It's not just a problem on the right, but when it comes to the left, 9 times out of 10, they shut that shit down real fucking quick, and you just stop hearing about it because they control all the media apparatuses. Which, you know, yeah, that feeds into this weird paradox, and you got to think about, like, wait a minute. The reason why this Jew thing is, like, sticking around so long is, like, if you think about it on this superficial level, you run into this weird type of paradox, like, wait a minute. Why is it when you talk about the Jews, everything seems to get shut down around that one area of discourse, whether it's the left or the right wing radical elements doing it? Doesn't seem to matter. Whenever they're brought up, something seems to go awry and you stop hearing about it, or someone gets censored, or something happens with bank accounts and things like that. That kind of like puts you in this paradoxical loop. It's like, okay, it's like the perfect self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah,
that's probably just down to like an elite group of people. That it's probably just like the ADL Jewish PR people are like the only quote unquote the Jews responsible for any of this, and they do this massive fucking overreach where it's like, oh, shut them all down and censor them all, and they make all the other Jews look bad. Because I know like a dissident right wing Jew that gives zero fucks about Fuentes's anti-Jew rhetoric and shit. He just doesn't care. And he's like, fuck the ADL too. They're full of shit.
Yeah, I think it's the Barbara Streisand effect, right? So the this effect is that I think this was like during the like the 2000s, like in the aughts era. Someone posted I think the house or address or whatever of Barbara Streisand, and no one really gave a shit. Like it's not whatever. Okay, great, that's her house, fantastic.
It was a picture of her mansion, yeah.
And then, she was like, "Hey, I want this taken down. This is extremely upsetting to me." And then, because she wanted it taken down, everyone then paid attention to it. If she had just done nothing, it wouldn't have mattered. But then she tried to take it down, or tried to get it taken down. She threw a big conniption fit. And then everyone started actually looking at it and being like, "Oh, look, this is their house." Maybe it's kind of the same thing. It's like, you know, if they just stopped censoring these views, then it wouldn't be a big deal. But the minute that you censor something, it actually it puts more interest into it. It's counterintuitive that way, but it's a thing. But
Yeah, and if there's any like cabal of Jews most responsible for that, it's just the frickin' PR people at the fucking ADL, and probably some loosely articulated connections beyond that. Because I guarantee you, a lot of these competing business interests of these multi-billion-dollar, multi-global fucking companies, to the extent there is any of that like secret Jewish cabal shit going on that. On the other side of that, you have the much more pressing issues of maintaining these multi-billion-dollar global companies that are probably more preeminent in the minds of these people, regardless whether they're Jews or not. And a lot of the time, you'll find a lot of the people in these elite positions aren't even Jewish at all. Like one of the arguments they bring up with these freaking Jew people all the time, well, look at all the people who aren't Jews, and what about them? It's just like, well, you see, they're just controlled by Jews or blah, blah, something, Jews, somehow Jews. It's like, what about instead of somehow Jews, it's just the fucking ADL is asshole.
much like how China is asshole. Yeah, I mean, look, I will agree. I will agree that there are a lot of Jews that are in like banking or in media, and they're in relatively high positions. A disproportionate amount. Jews are like what, like 1% of the population in the United States, and they represent a much higher percent of these like some banking positions and some media positions. I agree, that's true. But I will also point out that Asians are also a very they're like less than 5% of the population in the United States, and look at their representation at like UC Berkeley or like MIT or Harvard or Yale. Look at Asian representation in those schools compared to their actual population in the United States. I want to point that out. They're sometimes. Or take this. I believe that African Americans are like 13% of the population, Elon Musk included, and so a decent fraction of the United States population, but definitely not like a huge number. But then look at the representation of, let's say, African Americans in I don't know, basketball or football. It's quite a bit higher. Sometimes, or fucking the hip hop and or rap scene. Sometimes you have disproportionate representation of certain races in certain things. It's always been a thing, and I think it will always remain a thing. Up until the point that we all become interbred, and we're all just kind of a light shade of vaguely ethnic brown, and then we'll achieve Marxist utopia. But it's always been a thing. That's just a pattern. I'm sorry. So yes.
And here's another thing you could think of, like out of those overrepresented Jews, I imagine a considerable like subfraction of them are mostly lefty secular Jews that aren't religious in any way, ties to Judaism in that way. So that would even make less sense. Like the only side of that you could say is like the lefty racialized politics is the only thing driving that. When you see like ultra right-wing, hardcore, like believing observant Jews, like you usually see entrepreneurial people like Ben Shapiro that are just off doing their own things, or Halsey English, for example, that owns his own business and does his own things, or Michael Malice, the fucking anarcho-capitalist that is the living embodiment of doing your own fucking thing.
Yeah, something makes me doubt that Michael Malice is behind these multi.
And he's not even an observant religious Jew. He doesn't wear the hat. He's like an anarchist. He's like, fuck it.
Yeah. I don't think he's behind these multinational corporate schemes. I really don't think he is. I think he's quite opposed to them, from an ideological basis. But
yeah, no shit.
But okay, let's after all that, let's get back to it.
Yeah.
It says you can't claim that there's multiple people inside of banks or in media that are all Jewish, or you're anti-Semitic. And that's the truth. Like, it's the truth. What are we talking about? And
elaborate. What do you mean? You mean?
I'm saying, like, I've been labeled anti-Semite, right? So there's different beliefs about our bloodlines, like the documentary that Kyrie posted. And in general, America has been left ignorant and history has been changed. So when we start questioning,
I do want to point out that Kanye does bring up a legitimate point here. I mean, like, I think that one should be allowed to say that, oh, wow, yeah, the Jews seem to be overrepresented in banking. Like I just did. I just pointed that out. Yeah, I mean, it's true. It's a fact. I mean, there's no denying it. I don't know what to do with that information, but it is a fact. I don't think you should be labeled as an anti-Semite for saying that. But I also do want to point out that Kanye West is actually Jewish. So, I don't know what he's going on about.
Whoa, dun dun dun! Oh no, it's the self-hating Jew. The prophecy has come fulfilled. Well, if you also consider, it's like a lot of like the elitist, usually secular, like I said, Jews, they have that extra racialized element to what they're already doing. Like they have this belief in like meritocracy and like striving to be the best, which I personally would argue probably is much more deeply rooted in the history with Jews in Europe and the Jewish diaspora. Like they kind of had to be the best of the best because that was the only way they could survive in the extremely hostile and very much anti-Semitic environments of ancient Europe for many hundreds of years. So would it surprise you that all of a sudden there's a lot of them that just keep on that particular tradition?
Well, and I would argue that, probably part of why it is that some of them have been able to be so overrepresented and rise through the ranks is in part due to nepotism. That's a thing, but nepotism is not exclusive to Jews. A few years back, I worked at a company, and it had a whole bunch of Russians in it. And these Russians, they liked the other Russians, and they were all Russian, and a lot of them were they were pretty dumb, and they were bad at their jobs, but due to nepotism, they got promoted because they were a Russian, and Russians have to stick together, and so this is a thing. It's not just the Jews that do this; it's all sorts of groups. Nepotism is a thing.
And what about the Chinese? Like, there's whole freaking towns where it's just Chinese people in America that are like culturally and racially homogenized as Chinese. And there's even some people in there that don't even speak English because they only ever live in the Chinatowns. Yeah. And they only ever interact with other Chinese people.
There was at another previous job that I had, there was in the same building that I worked, there was another lab, and this lab was only Chinese people. They were receiving funding from the U.S. government. They were receiving funding from the U.S. government. They only spoke Chinese, and they would only hire Chinese people. If anyone tried to apply to that lab and they didn't speak Chinese, no, you don't work in our lab. Exclusively Chinese people, and they only spoke Chinese, and they were getting United States funding for their research. I don't know why that makes any fucking sense. Like,
that's not even technically legal, and they still get away with it.
Well, of course, because they're Chinese. They can, whatever. I'm sure there's nothing going on behind the scenes there, but yeah.
Things that question the indoctrination, then you immediately get, you said debanked, or what did you say happened to you, or
demonetized, deplatformed?
Demonized, demonetized. And what's so beautiful about this time is everyone got to see what's really been happening. And now we can really understand. We can see that Ron Emanuel was right next to Obama, and then Jared Kushner was right next to Trump. Da-da.
But so we're getting right into it, I guess, right? I was hoping to go for the news first before we got into all of this stuff.
So was I.
I think.
Right? It would have been cool to hear Kanye talk about a couple news stories and hear his opinion on it, but instead we have to. It's just like you were saying with the alt-right communities. It's like, nope, No, nothing else is really nearly as interesting as just talking about the Jews 24/7 all the time for
Yeah, you've always
5
got
years.
that random number table of it's if you code video games, there's like random number tables and variants. Like there's always the Jew table operating in the background. And it's just this random number generator that occasionally it'll just pick out a random number like 5. And then by law, in the next 5 minutes, the Jews have to be brought up. And it's not something that people are explicitly aware of. It's like anytime you go to dissident right-wing political communities, or to a lesser extent, the dissident left-wing political communities, it's just the secret ticking Jew clock. But the thing about the left-wing political communities, they have all types of other circumlocutory language and rhetoric to kind of like sugarcoat it, whereas like the right is just Jews. Immediately, the left will be like, well, you see, capitalism and late-stage capitalism and Palestine. It's like, whenever you hear a lefty say Palestine, that's just code for the Jews.
You're right. The left is much more sophisticated when it comes to talking about the Jewish question, and they guise it a little bit better.
They're better with language, and they're more creative, and they're more artistic, and sometimes autistic. And artistry and autism, when combined, is a deadly combination. just look at how successful it made Kanye West.
A fair point.
I think the issue is, one way to put it, is you're expounding upon a localization issue that you've witnessed, right? Let me clarify. There are a handful of people that you see are Jewish in a certain place, and then you associate Judaism with the power, whereas I view that as not relevant to it. Like, yeah, you're substantially more powerful than I am, but I don't view what you're doing as an issue of black people.
Yeah, but have you ever heard the term the black vote? So it's okay to put us in one net, but it's not okay for me to put them in one net.
Yeah, but I mean,
That's the basis of the hypocrisy that people have been thinking about and knowing about and realizing for decades. We were all wondering how this dam was going to break. Everybody in the country was wondering, what is the root of this hypocrisy? Why can people talk about white people a certain way? Why can't they talk about that group a certain way? And the wretched and wicked and oppressive prevailing orthodoxy of cancel culture, well, it turned out that the one thing that was going to break the dam was the biggest star in the world, and it took the biggest star in the world to do it. And now the dam is
Way
broken.
to stroke the ego.
yeah, no kidding, man. Milo's good at that, and he does it like sometimes explicitly, sometimes subtly. But
well, you know, subtlety and Kanye West, in case you haven't noticed, might not be the best combination. So he kind of has to like pour it on really fucking thick.
So I do think that Milo raises a genuinely good point here. There, and this is something that has been discussed for decades now. There is hypocrisy in America. There are certain groups of people that you are allowed to call out, and there are certain groups of people that you can't. For instance, Dave Chappelle, black dude. Okay, so he has a certain ranking. He's black, but he's a dude. So it's like, and he's straight. So it's like, kind of middling. And then when he tries to make fun of the trans people, big controversy. Oh my God, you can't make fun of the trans people. And I mean, to be fair, I don't know if the trans people are allowed to say anything bad against the black people either. So maybe it's kind of a two-way street there. But it's like, I remember like back in like 2015, you weren't allowed to say bad things about women, but that has changed over time because feminism died out and it was replaced by intersectional grievance, whatever the fuck. And so now
feminists are just conservatives.
Right, yeah. And now all the feminists have become TERFs, and now it's acceptable, more or less, to make fun of white women, but not the other women. White women are now on the chopping block. And of course, the worst group of all, the straight white men, who have probably never done anything for civilization, they're the worst of the worst. You can say anything that you want about them. They can be the butt of every joke. It's not a big deal. This is a massive hypocrisy in our culture. And Milo does make a good point here. Either you can't make fun of anyone for their immutable characteristics, or you can make fun of anyone for their immutable characteristics. And by the way, personally speaking, I'm on the side of making fun, because, I mean, that's people make fun of things. That's part of human nature. We make fun of things. Generally speaking, the way that you actually dissolve racial tensions is not to make it illegal to make fun of someone. The way that you actually dissolve all these tensions is by just having all of the fun be made, have a healthy banter between all these people, right? The black people can make fun of the white people for eating unseasoned chicken, even though I don't think that's true. I think I've never encountered a white person actually eat unseasoned chicken, but I guess that's the meme. Fine, whatever. And then white people can make fun of black people for not having dads in their household. It's all good. I support the banter. It is hypocritical to say that it should only go in one direction. So Milo makes a fair point here.
I remember when Eddie Murphy like invented the stereotypical white guy voice that black comedians would use to describe a white guy. Oh, you black people need to stop messing up our clubs. It was like the stereotypical white guy voice. Like Eddie Murphy basically invented that.
Let me tell you my issue. I don't like identitarianism. You guys are familiar with what that is?
Well, they started it, and they've been visiting on us. We're trying to break it.
When I was asking you about running for president, you immediately said, well, you'd be good for the black vote. And I said, is that because I'm black? No, not just because of that. So is that, are you doing the same thing?
I didn't.
To be absolutely fair, I think Kanye would be good for the black vote, and I think it does have to do with him being black. I want to point that out. Like that seems to be true.
Well, yeah, Tim Pool was when he was saying that he was thinking a bit too sophisticated for Kanye specifically. That's the problem.
I mean, is it not the case that Obama like got a shit ton of the black vote, and like maybe part of that was because
pragmatically, we know this is true, but subtleties, political subtleties, and especially fucking pragmatism, when you're getting to that level of political discourse, this is one of the many reasons why Kanye is kind of like a dead duck politically, because, I mean, if he's going to act like this around these very nuanced political issues and not just do a bombastic wrecking ball tactic like fucking Trump does, Kanye is trying to dip his toe in both pools at the same time. Whereas like Trump was just like bombastic, you're low energy, everyone hates you, you're a horrible person. Where Kanye is trying to do like the subtle machinations of politics and combine the bombastic shit at the same time, but it just turns out to be we was Kang's bullshit.
Yeah. I think it was on the Lex Friedman podcast that Kanye came out and said that he was a black Hebrew Israelite or something, and that actually,
oh God, no,
he like Kanye is the real Jew, and it's the fake Jews that run all the corporations and the banks and the media. They're not the real Jews. Kanye
tell about them fake white Jews.
Yeah, Kanye is and his ilk. They're the real genuine Jews, and they were actually they were co-opted and usurped by the fake Jews with what's the name of that guy? There's the big baddie in the black Hebrew Israelites, the
Yakum.
Yeah, the Yakum. Yeah.
Yakum, more like it.
So it promised me.
This is just fucking race grifting cooming. That's all this fucking. Anytime you hear any formulation of "we was Kang" shit, whether it's like we were Egyptians, we were ancient English, we were the Jews, we were this, we were that. Anytime you hear that, that's just race grifting coomers.
Yeah. I mean, for instance, my people, the Norwegians, objectively, just the best people on the planet, much better than the Swedish. Fuck the Swedish, they're a bunch of cucks. The Norwegians, ultra Chad, super great people, best people on the planet. But even I am not going to say that they was kings. They wasn't. They were Vikings.
I know there were kings in my ancestry because my fucking Irish potato goblin ancestry. Like, if there's, I could probably trace my lineage directly back to not one but several different members of royal families throughout the fucking millennia that there have been Irish people living on that fucking island. What does that mean in a modern context? Like, you and your Anglo ancestry, you could trace your fucking ancestry back to one English king around the time of the fucking Black Plague, more than likely, because that was a super permeable fucking extinction event for the lower classes.
Yeah. I mean, for anyone wondering, and maybe this is actually pertinent to this discussion. Neither Breaker nor I am Jewish, or black, or anything. I got my fucking DNA tested with 23andMe. I am almost exactly 50% British and 50% Norwegian, and I think, like, unfortunately, like 5% French. I don't like to mention that, but I mean, I'm being truthful here. I'm like 5% French. I don't like it. I'm not a big fan of that, but it is part of me. And Breaker, I think that you're an Irish piece of shit, I believe.
Yeah, I'm mostly like Scotch Irish potato goblin, and the rest is some type of mixture of Quebecois and Midwestern Germans.
Ugh, gross. But well, so that
and some Native American thrown in, but not enough Native American to qualify for a casino. God damn it!
Oh, so like around the same amount that Elizabeth Warren has.
Well, actually, probably more, because at least I'm 1/8. She's like having to get into like complex trigonometry and fractions to figure out the fractional amount of her Native American ancestry. I don't have to go quite that far. Like normal fractions, high school fractions will suffice for my amount of Native American ancestry.
Okay, so there it is for anyone that might have been wondering. That is the ethnicity of myself and Breaker. There you go.
Say that was the only reason. I said it was because you're personable to the common person, and you probably would do well with the black vote. Absolutely.
Just because I'm black, there's a lot of black people that don't like me.
Of course. I think race plays a role in a lot of things. Absolutely. And I think that
I think the construct of race has really been forced upon us as just something for us to be woke about and just constantly talk about and use it as these like walls.
Couldn't you say the same thing about Judaism?
Well, let's look, motherfucker. God damn it.
What's
he literally said, "Could you say the same thing about Judaism?" It's like, yeah, I was like, Tim Pool said it for me. This is basically ultimate pot calling kettle black moments. Like, oh, race is just used this thing to wokeify us and divide us. Like, you mean like you're doing with the Jew narrative right now, motherfucker? Can you even hear the words coming out of your own goddamn mouth? You stupid fuck.
It really, it's not. I don't believe it's a coherent point that Kanye is making.
He doesn't know how to do subtlety. Like I explicitly told you, like subtlety and this man do not go together. He's like oil and water.
Look at the facts of what I'm saying, though. If you say in this neighborhood where they gerrymander, there's this amount of time. So, hey, I wasn't doing that. I was just gerrymandering the lawyers and the Hollywood executives and the people at the bank that debanked me and then froze my accounts. You know, it's like we want to jump into protecting the idea that we can't put a net around something, right? But that's been my job as a producer, to take, a Roy Ayers sample and put a James Brown drum and put it within a 2-minute, 3-minute song. That's the way I actually think, and that's the way I talk.
And my vocation.
And now,
my vocation is a universal philosophy that applies to everything and everyone. This is like blue collar working schmo level rhetoric. This is the type of shit I would hear around a water cooler at a construction site, where everyone is like drawing these parallels to the meaning of life with the random construction jobs that they have. Like the electrician is like, you see everything flows like electrical current. With the fucking plumber, it's like everything flows like water through pipes. And I'm over there saying like, all of you are fucking full of shit. I pick up bags of concrete.
I mean, to be fair, isn't that what Freemasonry is? It's like they took the idea of like putting bricks on other bricks and just like made a philosophy out of it. Like that, isn't that the core of Freemasonry?
There's that gets really fucking complicated if you want to get into that some other time. That's a way too big can of worms to open. But I would say like the plebeian level of it, you're not wrong, but there's a lot more behind that. I will tell you, like Kanye West debanking narrative. You can look this up if you don't believe me, but he literally contrived this situation himself. What he did was, because Jamie Dimon from, I think it was Bank of America, if I'm mistaken, you could correct me. He wanted to have a person-to-person meeting with the CEO of the entirety of Bank of America. And Kanye West got it in his head that he was so fucking important that, of course, the leader of this multinational bank, of course, they would have a sit-down face-to-face meeting with me. And Jamie Dimon never returned his email. So what Kanye did is he was like, fuck that guy. So Kanye took all of his money out of the fucking account and just left. So the bank closed it. And that's how his bank account got, quote-unquote, debanked. He literally took all of his money out, and they said, "There's no money in the account. What do we do? Fuck it, close it."
Okay, I haven't heard this, so I haven't seen or heard this. This is news to me, but I guess I'll trust you that is that's a thing that happened.
He contrived the whole situation. Now he's spinning it as though, oh, it's the Jews. It's like, motherfucker, you took all the money out. And you left. He took like multi-millions out of this one bank account and transferred it to another one. And when you do that and leave it with $0 when it had millions in it, they're just like, yeah, fuck you too.
Well, I know that he had a shoe deal with the Yeezys, with I forget what company it was.
That money was in escrow. He doesn't know how finances work. When you do things like that, it's not just like, well, I guess we'll give you this multi-million dollars right now up front as though handing over this sack of cash. That's not how these multi-million dollar business deals work. What they do is they have an escrow account, like managed by a whole bunch of accountants and lawyers and skyscrapers some fucking where. And if you do shit that like hurt the company's brand, like, I don't know, talking about the fucking Jews and shit, that's probably in his contract that he barely looked at and signed, that a bunch of accountants had to go over it and make sure that he wasn't fucking himself in the ass when doing it.
Yeah.
So that wasn't his money immediately. That was in an escrow account to be doled out to him over the course of the fulfillment of the contract. So when that shuts down because he violated the contract and he doesn't get the money, now he's just like, oh, they stole from me. It's like, it was never your money immediately to begin with. It's a very complex multi-billion dollar business deal. You fucking shit. They're not handing over sacks with dollar signs on them, you fucking idiot.
Yeah, I guess like that actually that does make sense. It's more like it was more like a job, right? So it's like, okay, we will give you basically a multi-million-dollar salary, to have like for these Yeezys and have your name and brand and logo on it or whatever, and in exchange for you, like not fucking shit up, we'll give you money for the ability to make.
And you wear our Yeezys, you wear our brand in your music videos and on the red carpet or wherever the fuck you go, where celebrities go, and you're like a walking billboard, a multi-million-dollar billboard for these because of your celebrities and your music videos and the places you go and the people you hang out with. They ask you, oh, what are you wearing? And to the fashion people, they ask you, it's like, oh, these are the Yeezys, these are my new shoe line, and they're made by X company like Nike or whatever. It's like, oh, then Nike gets like, you see how this, like, he's like a walking advertisement contingent on not making the brand look bad.
Right. So it's basically he had a job and he lost his job, and that's for
yes.
And now he's upset.
In like simplistic terms, that's the best way to explain it. Yes, he made the company look bad, and they said you're fired. That's like the simple terms.
And now he's very upset, and I guess we're all supposed to be upset on his behalf as well. Okay, great.
And there's a non-disparagement clause and a morality clause in all those fucking contracts that up to and including not making extremely incendiary, inflammatory racial remarks on national television or on fucking Twitter. I bet you that's in that contract in black and white if you actually read it, which he clearly didn't.
No, here's the thing. I know that Kanye is always going on and on and on about how Kanye is a genius. And perhaps he is. But that doesn't seem like a very genius thing to do.
No shit, Sherlock. What was your first clue?
This morning, I found out that they were trying to put me in prison because what they did was, I moved $140 million into JP Morgan. And I said, I want to talk to Jamie Dimon. Like, look at me. I'm just going in naive, multi-billionaire. Like, maybe Jamie Dimon will let me in on some deal flow. Wrong. And I'm just like banging my hands like, I want to meet with Jamie. And I start complaining online. And then they debank me for complaining. And so
Or because he moved $140 million out of his bank account. I mean, that could be the case. I mean, I didn't know this, but now that you've explained it, it's like, oh well, that actually makes some sense. Okay.
I'm about to get debanked. They're like, you need to go to Trump's, the bank, AXO, whatever. You got to go. And I'm like, I've been trying to buy my own bank for the longest. And then we figured out how to get my own bank. It's like 50 million, 75 million. So I'm about to buy my own bank. But then as they're about to take the money out, here comes Adidas with a $275 million bill for marketing funds that they agreed upon. Because I said to them, hey, I'm the marketing, give me the marketing fund, which proves by the response they got when they stole the designs and said, we're going to.
And then you talked about the Jews.
But I don't understand. So he wanted. So he want. So I guess the easiest are with Adidas. I guess I have no idea. But
yeah, Adidas.
Okay, so they're paying him like a whole bunch of money to, as you said, to like be a billboard for these shoes.
Now, they're giving him. Remember, paid close attention to what he specifically said. The marketing fund.
Yeah.
So they're paying him for the marketing, and what he does is talk about Jews and Black Hebrew Israelite bullshit. It's like, you're not a very good marketer for Adidas if you're doing that.
No, but he's also so not only is he getting paid, and I think that, like side thing, he's getting paid just to be Kanye and wear the shoes, but he's also saying that he wants the marketing fund from Adidas to do all the marketing for that Yeezy brand or whatever. He wants the marketing fund for that as well.
Yeah.
Basically, he's saying, I want to be head of marketing for Adidas, and it's like, okay,
for the Yeezy specifically.
Honestly, looking at all of this, if I was the CEO of Adidas, and Kanye comes up, he's like, yo, I want like $300 million, like, that money that you were gonna give to your marketing department to like market this shit. I want to be in charge of your marketing department.
I'll do that. Derp, derp, derp.
I don't think that I would agree to that, to be honest. That seems patently absurd. Why would he ask for that?
And even if you did, you'd be like, oh wow, a billionaire celebrity wants to market our shoes. I guess we could agree to this. He's very successful, and then it's like, the Jews, like, maybe not.
I mean, look. I think that all the speech should be allowed. If you want to criticize the Jews or criticize
what else is allowed? Fucking contracts. And if those contracts say you're not allowed to talk about the Jews, and you sign the contract and you consented to those agreements of that contract, guess what? The people behind that contract could just be like, fuck you, you violated the contract, no money for you. That's also a thing that's allowed.
That is, yeah, that's the thing. And it seems as though this is all fair, and he's bitching about how he violated a contract. He's like, I violated a contract, and then there were repercussions. This is unfair. I dislike that. Shut the. What is this?
No shit, Sherlock.
As much as I would like to see Kanye run for president, I think that none of this seems like he's not making himself out to be the guy that would be good at running the country. I want to.
I don't even care about that. I don't even give a shit. I just want the comedy factor.
Okay.
I'm Yeezys anymore. So this is what I was already fighting Adidas for. So I'm fighting Gap, get out of Gap, fighting Adidas, and then I deal with this little bit of noise from, Zionism from the fashion world, where they use this plant named Gabby, who's obviously like some kind of CIA agent, knows nothing about fashion. This is a certain thing. When someone can't dress, you know that they're not like a fashion person. They're just there as like the society, like the control that they try to use with celebrities, which has now been broken, right? Because where it broke. Okay. I want to get on like LeBron in a second, but I'm going to come back to this and just talk about this morning where
I do want to point out, are there FBI or CIA or whatever plants in the celebrity communities in the fashion world?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Of
But his criteria for determining that is like, this person's fashion sense does not comport with my own, and I don't think that's good fashion. That's his metric for measuring and determining whether or not this is a CI plant, as he puts it.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't think that this big ass coat that Kanye is wearing is that fashionable. In my opinion, I think it looks kind of
Yeah,
silly.
so even if we could agree that there are clandestine agents in every industry and every level, there's some type of government worker somewhere sometime doing this, and we can have many fruitful conversations about that and many theories to be had about it, but keep in mind Kanye's metric for determining this is like, this person does not seem to know how to dress. Why is this fashion designer so unfashionable? It must be CIA Jews.
The glow in the dorks. No, I mean, look, I think I don't have evidence for this, but I think that generally speaking, it's like 99% probability true. There are government stooges that are in a lot of these higher echelon industries that are basically putting forward the government agenda into a lot of these celebrities. Like 100%, I believe that when Kanye says that like Kim Kardashian is being influenced by whoever the fuck the media and the government and all that, it's one entity, and I believe it. I believe that is true. Yes, but I mean, who knows?
And even if it's the exact person that Kanye is talking about is in fact a glow in the dark, as the colloquial internet term would have you, I don't believe that he actually would be able to determine or know that. I think that's more of broken clock being right twice a day type of thing that happened there, even if he is right about this person, this actual person he's talking about, which I don't think he is, but let's say he is a CIA spook. I don't think he deduced that through some type of like investigation with directional microphones and spy gadgets, James Bond style. Like superimpose Kanye's head onto like James Bond's body, and like, yeah, I believe the meme more than I would his actual claims of this.
Yeah, he's operating on gut feelings, and that's not to say that gut feelings can't be right. It's just that they have to be verified. But yeah.
You know, I'm not going to mention her name because she's a nice lady, but someone at Cohen Resnick tells me, and I tell all of my finance people, never use the term a lot, but they said, okay, you're going to have to pay a lot of taxes. And that made me feel like they're just like waiting, like we finally got him. We finally can put him in jail. And I was like, can I still run for president in jail? I found out I could. So I was like, okay, that's fine then. It'll be okay.
But if you were Jeffrey Epstein, they wouldn't touch your bank account. They would allow you to break the rules, regulations, just like JP Morgan and Chase did, just like Deutsche Bank did. So there is an issue to bring up with that. But when it comes to the race stuff, I think this is an important discussion to have because I
have to complete this thought. You guys got to.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, because I'm talking.
He's been talking nonstop for like the past 10 minutes, and then he's like, whoa, I got to complete my thought. Come on, man. Like Luke busts in for a total like 15 seconds, and you're like, whoa, no, I still got the microphone. Hold on. God, I mean,
everyone around him is trying to steer this fucking thing in a more sensible and cogent direction. Like anarchist guy, I forget his fucking name. I'm horrible with names.
Luke Rukowski.
Luke Rinkowski was trying to like, hey, that is a good point, but here's something that's an actual point that's sort of tangentially related to what you're talking about. Let's talk about that instead. But he's like, no, let's go back to my inane fucking bipolar stream of consciousness and talk about that instead. Like all these Machiavellian mastermind plans that I have about all these things. Like, yeah, that's the most interesting because I'm Kanye, motherfucker. I'm the most important person in the room. It's like everyone else around is trying to like steer this into a direction where there's something of substance to be talked about, but he just won't allow it.
Talking about literally finding out that they were trying to put me in prison this morning. Watch this. So
This morning.
yes. So not come to my house this morning, but I found out, okay, so they put a $75 million hold on 4 of my accounts. And then they said, you owe a lot of taxes. Took me like 6 hours to find out how much a lot was. They said, well, around $50 million. Now I'm going to different CFOs like, okay, so would this be tax evasion? Because I'm obviously not the most financially literate person on the.
Okay, so he's upset.
No shit.
He's upset because apparently, as he said, he's not the most financially literate person, and he may have maybe he owes the government some taxes, and eventually, if you don't pay the government, then eventually they'll come to your door and force you to pay or put you in jail. Eventually, that will happen, and so he's upset that he didn't pay his taxes, and now the government is threatening him.
Especially if you owe $50 million.
I mean, here's the thing, right? Now, I think that there should be some taxes. I think that the taxes should be dramatically reduced. I'm a libertarian. I'm basically a minarchist. I believe in a much smaller government. I'm not full ANCAP. But okay, Kanye, you're complaining that you owe taxes. I mean, look, it's a legitimate complaint. Maybe if you take the full ANCAP view, maybe no one.
What I think has happened here is because he moved all those massive amounts of money around so quick between so many different organizations that he fucked over like Adidas, and he did all these things so quick back to back. There was probably a bunch of like penalties and fees for transferring the money and liquidating these fucking contracts and doing all this shit that would have spiraled around and caught him in the ass eventually on the tax end, let alone the fucking fees end. Like, you have to pay taxes on all those fees, and they don't take it out automatically like they do at your grocery store when you have to pay the sales tax. At this level, it's a bit more complicated than that. So I think whatever accountants he does have, he was doing all this insane shit with such massive amounts of money that the accountants are just sitting there rubbing their temples like, what the fuck are you doing, you goddamn idiot? And then when he gets the fucking bill, he's like, oh, where did this come from? This must be the Jews. But it's actually because you moved around all that money, you fucking idiot. Your accountants didn't know what the fuck you were doing because you were just doing this shit because you felt like it, because Jews.
Well, I would also assume that like with this amount of money, you don't just have it sitting in a bank account as just dollars, right? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, he probably had to liquidate and move a whole bunch of shit and a whole bunch of
it's
like.
Gonna be like stocks, maybe bonds if he's super conservative, but probably a lot of this money is tied up in stocks.
There's fucking taxes involved with that.
Right. Whenever
there's taxes every time you move shit. It's taxable.
Well, when you sell a stock, if you've made a profit on it, then you have to pay capital gains tax. So if he I'm assuming, I don't know, but I'm assuming that a lot of his wealth is tied up in the market. If you sell and you've made a profit, then you have to pay taxes on that profit. Given the amount of money that Kanye has, I mean, it makes sense that he probably owed a decent amount of money to the government.
Oh, he'll go on to elaborate. He'll tell you exactly what I'm telling you right now in his own words. Let's get back to the fucking tape.
All right.
On the planet, I was just a child, basically. Like, when you become famous, you stop growing at that point. I became famous at age 24, and I had handlers around. I had my mom around, different things, and it was always like you go from one handler to the next handler to the next handler. So now I'm having I get to actually learn how to run a company. I get to learn how to to count. Really, I was like Pablo in a movie. It was like I didn't even know where to put the money, like literally making $300 million cash, but you're just like a high-priced.
There it is.
We're not going to use the S word just because it's just like too passe to use it. But it's like next year I was supposed to make $500 million in royalties, and like no one needs this amount of money. But when I would work on homeless shelters and ideas, I'd have a contractor. We won't say what race. And the
contractor at the homeless shelter happens to be Jewish. The conspiracy goes deep. Breaker, you don't realize how deeply the Jews have infiltrated every level of the American society. It's even the homeless shelters are run by the Jews.
Yeah, and basically he just kind of admitted to what I was telling you. It's like he doesn't know how to do any of this, and he's just learning now. It's like you don't just get to learn yesterday how to manage a multi-billion-dollar like wealth. That's not something that you just like, well, I guess I'll take care of it myself from now on. You don't get to be like Thanos when you pick up the gauntlet. It's like, fine, I'll do it myself. That's not how this works. You don't just get to go from having handlers and accountants everywhere. It's like, meh, fuck all you guys, I'll do it myself. That's a fucking idiot of biblical proportions that says that.
I mean, to be fair, if I suddenly had Kanye's wealth, I think that I could manage it more or less. What I would do is I would take most of it and I would put it into the S&P 500 and I would just let it sit, and that's all I would do. This is a complete tangent, but I do want to point out that
that is not financial advice, especially not good financial advice. So no one listen to that.
No, not financial advice. But all I'm saying is that the S&P 500.
Yeah.
If you just invest in that,
but
it outperforms most most of these financial institutions that have like specific strategies for investing. Just putting.
Well, here's the difference. Like you've been managing money for a lot longer than Kanye West has. Like if you suddenly got the amount of money that Kanye has, you would at least have some idea of good things to do with it. Kanye, by his own words, he literally just admitted to it. He's always had handlers and accountants and his mother fucking around from a very early age on in his fucking career, building himself up like this. So he's kind of just let all that shit ride, and he's just the guy that sings and does the music video and puts like the fucking James Brown drum into his fucking remix. That's what he does. He doesn't do any financial shit. He just admitted to it.
And you know what? This is what I don't know this, but I'd be willing to bet that like he's a money printing machine. He has been for like a long time. He prints money. Money printing machine goes burr. With all the money that he generates, I bet that there are barnacles or other parasites that have latched onto this, that have siphoned off some of the money for their own benefit. I would not be at all surprised if that were to be the case. Like I would be surprised if that wasn't the case. I bet that him having basically no financial knowledge, not running these accounts himself, I'm sure that someone has gotten moderately wealthy off of just managing Kanye's own account. I'm not sure of it, but I'm confident in that. I would bet that.
Yeah. Think of the example of like if you were basically a king from a very early age and you didn't have to worry about managing all like the granular daily grind shit that all your handlers and assistants and advisors and all these people are moving these levers of power in the background. And you went from that to having to work at a very simple job like McDonald's. It's like, you went bust and now you're working at McDonald's. You would have zero fucking clue about how to even manage your time or balance your checkbook or even drive yourself to work. You would have to learn so many things just to manage having a job at fucking McDonald's, let alone a multi-billion-dollar fortune.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm sure that he's probably unwittingly been played, and you know what? I bet maybe one of the people that maybe probably found a way to take some money was probably Jewish, but I'm sure there were other people in that as well. Like, who knows? Who knows? This is all theory and speculation, so we'll keep going.
You know, they'd be tearing down the contracts. It's all about, position. It's not about the amount of money that you have. And, to come in here, I feel like it's a setup to be like defending. I'm not going to go through another, like I'm literally going to walk the F off the show if I'm sitting up here having to, talk about, you can't say that it was Jewish people that did it.
There's the threat. He's threatening. He's saying, hey, if you disagree with me too hard, I'll leave.
When every sensible person knows that. I mean, Jon Stewart knows what happened to me, and they took it too far. It was like American History X. Like my head was on the side of the curve, and
they curb stomped.
No. His head was on the side of the curve. I don't know what the curve is, but his head was on the side of the curve.
Of course.
Not the curb. I mean, the curb would. Why is he comparing himself to fucking American History X? Like that. I mean, all right, whatever.
Bombastic hyperbole and philosophy and like all this like his music, he's like a very creative wordsmith with a lot of musical terms and philosophical terms and shit, surprisingly enough. But when he takes something like that bombastic and hyperbolic and brings it down to a level of discourse like this, he just sounds like he's putting too much garlic on it. There's so much garlic on these terminologies that he uses, it'd knock a buzzard off a gut wagon.
I mean, also, in American History X, I believe it was Edward Norton was the white supremacist. Edward Norton wasn't a Jew. That was the white supremacist. If anything, the closest thing in this metaphor to the white supremacist of Edward Norton with the fucking Nazi tattoo would be fucking Nick Fuentes. It wouldn't be the Jews. I don't know.
And Nick Fuentes is probably over there grinning like a Cheshire cat at this. He's like loving every second of this shit.
The exact people that I called out kicked my head. We found out that my trainer was a MK Ultra Canadian intelligence.
He worked in the defense research and development in the Canadian military, essentially working on psyops.
Jesus Christ! Can you imagine being an MK Ultra Canadian? Like you don't get to be like the legit like CIA like fucking James Bond, like American MK Ultra agent. You're the Canadian one.
Well, you see that then you get the specialized trigger words. It's like every time you get like a fresh bottle of maple syrup and pour it onto your Belgian waffle, all of a sudden something clicks in the back of your mind and you look up slowly from the table. It's like, steal Kanye's money. Steal Kanye's money.
The Canadian military. This is Harley Pasternak.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, look, they tried to medicate me. I was exhausted. They wrongly diagnosed me. And they when I asked them, how much lithium did you want to put me on exactly? It took them 4 days to answer because they were embarrassed about the amount, right? And I refused to take this, right? You understand that if I had taken the medication, I would not be here, and it would have been, he was deeply troubled. We miss him. We love his music, though.
Well, okay, so I think here's the thing. Kanye does bring up some valid points during this conversation, and this is another one of them. I think that there is probably like how how we were saying previously that there's probably government infiltration in a lot of these like very like high society celebrity bullshit kind of things. It would not surprise me that there would be a want to keep celebrities medicated, keep them docile, make them obedient. It would not surprise me, and I am happy that Kanye is like, oh no, I don't want all the medication. I'll do my own thing. Maybe Kanye has bipolar. Maybe a little bit of lithium would be good for him. Although I think that at this point, lithium is a little bit outdated in terms of a treatment for bipolar. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me that that is the case. That's not surprising me. I don't know, but
we could just do Occam's. We could just do Occam's razor and say it's like, okay, there's a bunch of like trained celebrity handlers that handle all these neuroatypical people, which highly artistic, creative people tend to be neuroatypical, sometimes to their own detriment. You wouldn't be surprised that a lot of these handlers in this particular industry are just like, okay, we got to manage your manic bipolar fucking episodes before you start running around blaming the Jews for everything, because that's going to sink your fucking career. It's like, you need to take this fucking medication or you're fucked. I wouldn't be surprised if that was just like people that did have something resembling his interest in art, even if only for monetary gain, because they're protecting the record label and all the other interests first and foremost before they give a shit about him. But even that's better than like the wild conspiracy theory that the government specifically cares so much specifically about Kanye West that they need to pump him full of medication to keep him fucking docile. Like, that makes a bit less sense than just the daily grind of celebrity handlers dealing with neuroatypical people on a daily basis.
Actually, you know what? I agree. That would make sense. That would be like its own industry that would emerge if you have a whole bunch of money printing neuroatypical people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we could talk about that industry might have corruption in it and backdoor deals, like all these fucking things would. Like, you could have that conversation about that. I bet you would find something. Like, there's been a lot of celebrity scandals over the fucking years, like that guy that killed Michael Jackson with fucking propofol. Like, there's a really good example of that going too far.
Yeah, no, I think actually I agree with you. This may just be the industry. Maybe there's some government collusion in it, but maybe that's just an aspect of this industry. And you know what? I bet that's that industry that exists of dealing with these crazy artistic and autistic people. I bet that industry is it actively would. It would benefit from remaining in the shadows and not letting all the celebrities know that actually they're being medicated and taken care of. That makes sense. I agree with you, Breaker.
They would have
There you
Britney
go.
Spears too. I mean, look at
They would have Michael Jackson.
or worse, yeah.
So
Look at what they did. Look at what they did to Britney. When she went in, she was tired, she was exhausted, she was in a bad way. But 10 years of that medication wrecked her brain. You can see it now.
Yeah.
You can see there's not much of her left.
you mentioned Pasternak was the name.
Yes, Harley Pasternak. That's the text message that you
Yes.
posted that we were talking about before.
Here's
That's the lobotomy
look,
thread.
You know?
Yeah.
Before the show, obviously, I'm getting a bunch of messages from people. People are hitting me up, and they're like, "You shouldn't host them. They're anti-Semitic. They're white supremacists. They're racist." I do find the idea. I do find it funny or weird, or whatever, that Nick, they call you a white supremacist. You're here working with or for one of the most powerful black men, one of the wealthiest and most famous. But a lot of people.
Was that Tim Pool being trying to calm the shit down, or do you
Yes,
or do you think
he knows what he's doing.
Do you think that was a subtle dig at Nick Fuentes? Like, hey, Nick Fuentes, I know you. Nick Fuentes is basically a white supremacist. And he's like, hey, Nick Fuentes, you're working for a black dude. That seems like, I don't know if it was intentional, but that seems like kind of a dig at Fuentes, which I find funny.
I think like first and foremost, Tim Pool is trying his best to de-escalate this fucking shit show that this is rapidly turning into. Now, whether or not that is a clandestine disguised dig at Nick Fuentes, as much as us terminally online people might like to think, is like, oh, he's like playing 4D chess. He's like digging Nick Fuentes
Yeah,
and trying to
probably not,
de-escalate
yeah.
simultaneously. Yeah, I think it's just de-escalation.
Yeah.
People are saying on the right specifically, don't platform them. And I said, well, I want to understand what they're thinking and why they're thinking it. They're they're involved in what may be the biggest news story of the past week, and we have an opportunity to sit down and talk.
Because
with
the
them.
red media controls both sides. It just said it as simple as possible. Jared Kushner was next to Trump. Ron Emanuel was next to Obama.
But see,
since 1940, go ahead.
I was going to say, isn't that an issue of these individuals? Like you're extrapolating.
I'm not having. I'm going to order with the last of my money that's available in a different account. I'm going to order a PJ before I sit and have another Lex Friedman setup conversation. When I'm literally they're trying to put me in jail for my opinion.
But I
I'm
get
not.
that.
I'm not going to have.
They're not trying to put him in jail for his opinion. It sounds like they may threaten jail time because he owes the government $50 million because he decided to do some funny stuff with his money. As far as I can tell, it has nothing to do with his opinion.
Have that opinion. I don't care about people. Those are bots that are trying to tell you. We realize. Look at Pence. He sold Trump out. You get what I'm saying? It's like I would have never wanted to do anything that hurt Trump. I'm on Trump's side. Trump said things that hurt me. He lied about me, but I mean, he's known for lying. And when people used to tell me that he's a
What the fuck is that? Oh, dude, I love Trump. I never want to do anything to hurt Trump, but Trump, he hurt me and he lied about me. What? That? I don't think that Kanye is actually on Trump's side here. I think that's bullshit.
Yeah, I think it is too, because Trump is, if you remember like the Trump debacle, like Trump kind of got really pissed off when he got the phone call, quote unquote, and he realized like all the people that were in here, it's like he was probably mostly bitching at Kanye West, which is like strangely they didn't get to that part of the conversation, but he was most likely bitching at Kanye directly about why did you bring these people in here? They're going to hurt my image and they're going to hurt your image too. Why do you do this to yourself? Why are you doing this to me? Fuck you. It was probably something like that.
Yeah, this seems disingenuous.
liar. It's like, I went into the trenches for Trump. That's another conversation. There was no one in my position that wore that hat. And all of my surroundings exhausted me. It was like death by 1,000 questions. I know I'm jumping to another thing, but what I'm saying is, I know you got a rep for your people online, but it's you got a person in real life that I'm not with it, bro. I lost the money for the freedom of speech, and that's what makes me the only American that we know that really deserves to run the country, because everyone else, your boy DeSantis, Trump, whoever they raise in a petri dish over on the Democrat side is going to play the game. Look,
Kanye is a crazy person. I don't know how else to put that. What the fuck does Kanye mean that he's the only one that deserves to run the country? I don't think that he's demonstrated himself to be, and he will demonstrate this even better in a couple minutes. I don't believe that he's demonstrated an ability to run even his own personal finances, let alone the fucking nation. Okay. All right. Well, whatever, Kanye.
And, here's what I was trying to get to. You went right into the anti-Semite thing. I think it's something that should be talked about. But if you start bringing this up, you're going to ask my opinion on it. I'm going to disagree with you.
I didn't ask your opinion on it. You jumped into it.
But
I don't care about your opinion. I like your opinion on how.
Dude, this is Tim's show. What the fuck? Like, you've been speaking essentially uninterrupted for the last 15 minutes. This is Tim's show. What the fuck are you saying? Oh, I don't care about your opinion. Like, dude, you're on his show. Like, you could at least give the man just a modicum of respect, perhaps.
We win an election, but I don't care about anybody's opinion, bro. I lost. They tried to put me in jail. They blocked $2 billion I had. Like what I told Farrakhan, I said, look, is it anti-Semitic for me to say his name out loud? Like I told
minister.
The minister. Like I told
Obama met with him too.
Oh, he was. Yeah, I mean the Jewish people allowed Obama to meet with the minister. So Farrakhan said, well, did he have the money? The contract for the next 4 years, if I hadn't done anything, would have been $500 million a year for 4 years. What I was fighting for was the IP, so my children could, I'm sorry, just sometimes I think about 7 thoughts at one time, because anything I see, I come up with like 7 answers to it and then just choose what it is. But the thing is, when I said my children, the reason why my brain kind of blocked, because it's like God is saying, your children are going to be okay. Baby mama's got money, right? God is using me. He's breaking me down, removing all of the, richest person, all of this, so I can serve him. And the more and more those things are taken away from me, the more I can be empty and be a vessel and be able to be used. And right now, it's like, you're not going to take, if we can't, you're not going to take my pain away, right? The Jewish people say, it's the Holocaust, this happened, and you can't say anything about it. We can't take their pain away. No one's going to denounce the fact that they tried to lock me up. That's every time I'm just holding stride, and it's like, I thought I was more Malcolm X, but I find out I'm more MLK, because as I'm getting hosed down.
Okay, I don't think that Kanye is either Malcolm X or MLK. The ego on this guy, I mean, what is he? He's one of the three. He's Jesus, Malcolm X, or MLK, one of the three. I don't think that he's either any of these things. I think that he is, I don't know, he's just kind of he's a celebrity, and he has a lot of money, and he's upset about some stuff.
Yeah. This fucking raucous grandiloquence of his is going to be his fucking ultimate downfall. Like, once he's gotten away from all his freaking handlers and the people who've been watching him for the past, like, how long's it been? 2 fucking decades? Like, going from 20 years of having your life carefully curated and managed and structured by people who have like multi-million-dollar stakes in you as this musician celebrity that the people go crazy about, going from that to like being a crazy internet person ranting about the Jews number 3,265,000,000, that's a hell of a fucking swing.
down every day by the press, and financially I'm just standing there. And when I found out that they tried to put me in jail, it was like a dog was biting my arm, and I almost shed a tear, almost, but I still walked in stride through it. Yeah.
I think they've been extremely unfair to you. I think.
Who was they though? We can't say who they is,
corporate
can we?
press. I'm not using I don't use the word as the way I guess you guys use. I'm talking.
It is
about
them, though, isn't it? I mean, because
No.
and because when you think about it, consider it. In 2018,
What do you mean it's not?
What do I mean? Like, okay, so how about? Are you leaving?
Oh,
Are you referring to the press?
Oh snap! Rage quit.
He's on. I'll say it right now. You guys want to bring that stuff up? And then
Have
think
the
we're not
discussion.
Gonna have a
Like,
conversation.
have the discussion.
Like you think Ye's going to come in here and say, "Here's my pain, here's my suffering." I'm going to say, "I hear you," and then he's going to say, "And it was Jewish people," and I'm going to be like, "Okay, but don't you consider?" It's like, I'm not going to do this. I
gotta
refuse.
Go, make sure.
okay. So
They've
now,
all got to leave and make sure to get back with their ride because they have no way to get home without Kanye. Like Nick Fuentes doesn't have to get a Greyhound bus ticket, and Milo would have to charter a cruise or some shit, but he can't because they're in the middle of West Virginia. But he's like, "Fuck, the mountain people, ew, get away from me, you peasants."
right. So they all leave. They all leave with Kanye because I guess that they're not their own independent people. They're the fucking Three Musketeers. They have to stick together no matter what, I guess. So Kanye leaves. Ergo, Milo and Fuentes leaves. Fantastic. This is I don't think that this makes Kanye look that good. Like assuming that this was staged, right? There's a lot of people saying that this was staged. I think yeah, it was probably staged. Assuming that it was, how does this make Kanye look? Right? Like, oh, things got a little bit heated. Someone disagreed with me, so I'm gonna walk off.
What's he gonna do as president when he's in nuclear peace talks with Kim Jong Un? Is he gonna walk out of that too?
Right. Like nothing about anything that happened in this interview gives me confidence in his ability as president, and he wants to run in 2024. Like,
This is just fucking embarrassing.
right? Like, okay, he can't even manage his own finances apparently. So, what is he? How is it that he's supposed to run the nation? Which, by the way, is a little bit more complex than just running your own finances. How is he gonna do on like the debate stage? Like,
He can't even run his own fucking finances. He can't even do that.
right? Like, and what he can't. He also can't handle conversation. Like, if things get a little bit too heated, like, oh no, this.
Like, someone disagreed with the mighty Kanye. How dare you disagree with the mighty Kanye? Because he's been surrounded by fucking ass kissers, brown nosers, and yes men that just see him as a ticket to a multi-million-dollar paycheck because he's a beloved, like, music producer and fucking celebrity.
Yeah. This is absurd. I wouldn't want Kanye running my own finances, let alone my own fucking nation. This is patently absurd. What happened here, and I do want to get into something else here. This was my initial like gut feeling about this when I got done with this. So, Trump, he played with the media, and he was really good at it, right? Trump was a billionaire, and he fucked around with CNN and MSNBC and even Fox News and 60 Minutes. If he didn't like the way that an interview was going, he would just walk out. And when Trump did it, that was actually kind of funny because he's a billionaire and he's going up against these multi-billion-dollar companies. And they're assholes and they're manipulated and manipulative, and he would go in there and he would say, fuck off. And that was cool. He was a billionaire against multi-billion-dollar companies. Kanye is also a billionaire, but he's going up against multi-million-dollar companies. He's going up against like fucking Timcast, right? And what sort of precedent does this set? Basically, it says, hey, any future podcast that Kanye goes on, if you disagree with him about the Das Juden or whatever, then he's going to leave and he's going to bomb your podcast. Like, if for whatever reason the Promethean Tides was able to have Kanye on, I would feel as though just for my own, like, just for keeping the channel afloat, for my own self-benefit, I would feel as though I wouldn't want to push back against Kanye. Because, like, he'll just leave. And it's like, well, fuck, we don't really have an episode anymore. Now, that's a problem, I think. Right? Like, that's not a billionaire going up against some other billion-dollar companies. That seems more like a person with too much money and power wielding it in a not entirely fair way. Whether you like or dislike the Tim Pool podcast, for the most part, they try to have level-headed, reasonable discussions. I don't agree with everything that Tim Pool says. He's a little bit too much of a lefty cuck for me. But you know, I mean, they try to have actually pretty decent discussions. I listen to the fucking Timcast thing. Like, I listen to most of them basically. And this thing that Kanye is doing, it I don't think that it's improving things. I don't think it's improving the level of discussion. He's not making like actual, like, good intellectual points. He's not improving things. This is celebrity drama, and I have stated multiple times I don't like it. I don't like the fact that celebrity drama has become intertwined with politics. That politics has become pop celebrity culture, and it has. It 100% has. But it's unfortunate that it has, because it degrades our ability to actually reason through things and come up with, like, better answers to shit. When all we have is just this bullshit celebrity drama that Kanye pulled, that I believe was staged. This isn't helping anyone. I don't know who this is helping. I don't think.
Yeah, Kanye trying to play the little fucking Donald Trump clone, whereas, like, Donald Trump was pointing at CNN saying, "Fake news, you horrible people." It's like there's a whole different character to that. It's like walking out on fucking Tim Pool, because Tim Pool is actually liked by a lot of people, whereas CNN is only liked by fucking NPCs and line-towing toadies of the fucking establishment.
Yeah, this was I think that this was staged. And I guess we got a little bit more information about this, because apparently, like, once they left, they were laughing and joking and giggling, and
yes. And Kanye even stole a bag of cookies.
I don't know why that was necessary, but okay, fine, Kanye, have your cookies. And
shit, I'm getting some cookies, motherfucker. Goddamn.
And also, the anarchist, Luke Rukowski, he actually went down to their car, and he was like, "Hey, are you sure that, like, you don't want to, like, come back on the show? Like, we could actually have, like, a genuine conversation here." And what he said was that, oh, like Kanye was like, "Nah, fuck off," and Milo and Fuentes were in the back seat just giggling like little schoolgirls. Ha ha ha! They did their thing. Great, fantastic, guys. Your little Three Musketeer trio. You made yourself look like assholes to everyone. You contributed nothing. You produced nothing, and you look like jackasses. So
Nick Fuentes hardly talked. Like, the only thing Nick Fuentes got out of that was plugging Cozy TV.
Yeah. This doesn't. I don't know. Like, okay, yeah, it stirred up drama, 100%. Like, drama was stirred up, but like, from a purely, like, I don't know, like, utilitarian perspective, did this actually benefit you? Like, what I mean, honestly, I think that this hurt Kanye. I think that this did nothing to Milo, because Milo's a shit stirrer, and he lives in the shit, and he breathes the shit, and he fucks the shit, and that's what he does. So he's made of shit. So he knows the shit, and this won't affect him. The only person that really, like, got, like, a plus out of this was Nick Fuentes. That's the only person. And you know what? Great. We got more attention towards Nick Fuentes. I'm fucking talking about Nick Fuentes. Fantastic. This
You even brought up Cozy TV on the goddamn stream, so
I
like,
did.
yeah.
Yeah, Nick Fuentes is the only person that walked out of here like actually gaining anything. It's like, and I don't like the man. I think that I have issues with him. To be fair, I don't watch his shit. So maybe he's actually, like Milo said, he's one of the greatest political philosophers of our time. Maybe that's the case. I don't know, but he doesn't fucking seem like it. You know what? Tonight I'm gonna watch some shit from Nick Fuentes, and I'm gonna see exactly what he has to say because
well, unfortunately, as you're doing that, you'll probably very quickly realize that most of what he says is just, the Jews in the new state.
I don't know. I'll you know what? I'm gonna watch Nick Fuentes.
Fuentes, he's just an eternal ticker tape of Jew moments, basically. That's all Nick Fuentes' show is.
Maybe. But you know what? I don't know that for a fact. So I'm gonna watch him, and then I'm gonna see what he has to say, and then maybe on the next episode, I will come back with some thoughts about Nick Fuentes and his opinions.
Hopefully you'll watch an episode where he brings up that any sex outside of marriage, up to and including with women, is sodomy and gay. Like, all sex outside of Catholic marriage specifically is fake and gay. So literally every single human on the planet, fucking women that aren't married Catholics specifically, they're all gay and fake compared to Nick Fuentes. He's the true alpha Chad tradcath that's going to teach you about what sodomy really is.
You know what? I've been fucking my girlfriend for like 4 years now. So
you're gay.
I'm gay as fuck.
You're not married. You're not Catholically married.
I'm a flaming homosexual. I'm no better than you, Breaker.
Yeah, exactly. You see, Nick Fuentes brings everyone together under the rubric of homosexuality.
Thank you, Nick Fuentes. But yeah, well, there was that drama. I would like to say that after watching all of this, there is no way that I am advocating whatsoever for Kanye being president. Before watching this, I was like, yeah, sure, it's a meme, might be fun. Maybe have him go against DeSantis in 2028. Maybe it'd be entertaining. After watching this, I have cemented my position. No way. I don't want Kanye anywhere near the presidency. I don't want him to have control over fucking anything. Whether this is an act or not, it's not a good act. And if it's not an act, then the man's fucking he's a loose cannon. And if it is an act, then he's bad at putting on an act. Fucking Trump is way better at putting on an act than Kanye is. So
yeah, it's bad from all fucking angles.
Yeah. Just shit. It's shit. That's what it is. This was shit.
I guess meme magic might be real, but dragon energy apparently is not so real.
Ooh,
unfortunate. Like I'm as a furry, I'm really into dragons, so I'm kind of disappointed to learn that the dragon energy is so impotent and seems to have trouble getting proper ideological boners.
A potentially fair point, but also a degenerate point. Anyway, so thank you all for listening to this point. If you've made this far, please consider giving us a like and a subscribe. It means a lot to the channel. We're a small channel. We're very tiny, not nearly as large as Timcast or Kanye. But if you like the content, then all that stuff. Ring the bell, whatever the fuck. But with that, I guess that we'll be signing out. Any final words, Breaker?
Yeah, after you've liked, shared, and subscribed, make sure to renew the obviously derelict and depleted pool of dragon energy with more YIF of dragon specifically.
Jesus fucking Christ. Peace out, everyone.